Hello, welcome to Jessie at Home. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make the small version of these little vintage hearts. You can see they have these little spokes around the top here. They have a nice solid center square and then these little spokey stitches around the top. I'm going to show you how to make this. The yarn I am using is Aunt Lydia's Baker's Cotton, which is made by Coats & Clark, a red heart. And the hook I am using is a size 4 or E, which is 3.5 millimeters. To begin, you need a slip knot, and then you need to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make a single crochet into the second chain from the hook and each of the remaining. So we have all of our 6 chains here, and I actually like to work into the back bumps of my chains. You see all those back bumps? This would be the first one. We're going to work into the second one. So I'm going to skip the first one, work into the second one, making a single crochet, and keep going. Single crochet all the way across, which since we had 6 chains, we skipped one and we single crocheted in the rest. That means we will have 5 single crochets when we're done. If I can, that first one I maybe pulled it a little tight. There we are. So now we have our 5 single crochets across, and we need 5 rows of that. So that was row 1. We need to turn our work, and now we're going to single crochet across. I'm not going to put a chain to start my row. I'm just going to start off with a single crochet in the very first stitch. So I'm just going into both loops of the first stitch and making a single crochet. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then I turn, do it again. I'm going to do that until we have 5 rows of single crochet, of 5 rows of 5 single crochet. So you'll have a 5 by 5 square. All right, we have our 5 by 5 square now. And once we've completed row 5, you are not going to turn your work. Okay, we just finished it, and rather than turning it, you're just going to rotate it a quarter turn so that you're going to be working on the side of these stitches. So we start off by making a chain 1. And now we're going to work into the side of the center stitch. So there were 5 rows. We want to work into the side of row 3, which is in the center. And really, as long as you're just basically finding the center, you're good to go. You're going to start off by making a double crochet. We did a chain 1, and now we're going to make a double crochet into that stitch, into the center, right, the side of row 3. We're going to chain 1 again and make a treble. Chain 1, treble, chain 1, double, all going into the side of the 3rd row. Chain 1, and now we are going to slip stitch into the corner. Okay, and it's really easy to find. It's where your tail is, and I like to kind of pull my tail to the side and slip stitch just on the other side of that tail piece. And just, look at that, I made a single crochet instead of slip stitch into the corner. Okay, and that's one of the bumps of our heart, right there. Now we're going to do the second bump. We're going to start off with a chain again, and then there are 5 stitches here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We've already slip stitched into the first one. We're going to work now our double crochet into the 3rd stitch, so into the middle again. Double crochet, and the bump is the same. You chain 1 after that and do a treble. Chain 1, do a second treble. Chain 1, do another double. Chain 1 and slip stitch into this corner. Okay, now we're going to work the border round. So you can see we have a heart. Okay, it's a little wonky looking. It's not quite as finished as this one looks because it just needs the border to kind of pull everything together. So you're going to start off with a chain one, and you're going to single crochet in the sides of each of the next 4 rounds. Okay, so you just kind of got to have to find the side of the round. You're going to do 4 of them. 1, 2, and I wouldn't stress 3 if you're not like hitting things exactly. As long as you're getting 4 of them before you get to the loops that start on the bottoms, you're fine. 4. Okay, now we have this loop right here that's actually from the top of row 5, and this little loop right here, this kind of first loop, the rest were sides, this is the first loop. This is where we're going to put the point of our heart, and we're going to put a single crochet, a chain 2, and a single crochet into that loop. A single crochet, a chain 2, and a single crochet. If you want the bottom of your heart to, you see how the bottom of the heart kind of has a little bit of a pointy bit there? If you want it to just be a little rounder, you can just chain 1, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. I like the little bit of a pointy bit, plus it gives me something to work into if I want to hang something off of it, which is why I do a single crochet, chain 2, single crochet. You could also put like a picot or something there, or some other decorative something stitch coming off of that right there if you wanted to do that. Especially if you're hanging something off of it, a picot would be nice. Anyway, let's go back to this. We've done that, and now we need to single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and that will bring us to the first chain 1 space that we have. Okay, so you see how we have all these chain 1 spaces from the little bumps. In the very first chain 1 space that we come to, we're going to put 2 single crochets. Now in each of the next 3 chain 1 spaces we come to, we're actually going to place 3 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, maybe 2, 3, and that gets us to the chain 1 that is just before the little dent in your heart, and then there's another chain 1 that's just after it, and at each of those chain 1s we're just going to work a single crochet. The first time I made this, I made a single crochet in this one, and then I slip stitched down into where the other slip stitch was from when we did the point to begin with, the little divot to begin with, and then did the single crochet. And I didn't like the way it looked as much. I think it looks better this way. And the nice thing about this is if you really want to pull that little divot down, I'll show you when we get to weaving in the ends. There's your starting tail is right behind that little divot. So you could always use that to kind of pull your divot down tighter when you're weaving in the ends if that's what you want to do and give your heart a little bit more definition. Okay, now we've done this 1 single crochet into the first chain 1 of this little bump, and we're going to put 3 into each of the next 3 chain 1s. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 3, and that leaves us 1 chain 1 left, and in that one, it leaves us 1 chain 1 left, and in that one we're going to place 2 single crochets. There's a blonde hair, must be from one of my children. I am not blonde. All right, so 2 single crochets into this last chain 1 space, and then you slip stitch to the top of the first single crochet. So you go to the top of your first single crochet and you slip stitch and you end off. Now that's how the instructions have the end, is to slip stitch into the top. Let me show you what I like to do. I don't actually put the slip stitch in. I clip the thread, I clip the yarn, and then I like to do this kind of seamless join. It's one of those nifty little tricks my great-grandmother taught me. A lot of people do them. I've seen many tutorials, and one day I'll actually get around to, you know, making a tutorial for it. But it's just, you know, something a lot of people do. You finished off your last stitch, and I pulled it through so that I just have the one end sticking out of where the last loop was. You do have to kind of hold on to this stitch when you pull through so that you don't tighten everything else up. And now what I do is I want to make the loop that goes from this stitch over to this one. So I'm going to actually put my needle in under here. Okay, I have this loop here, right? And I have this loop here, but I need a loop that joins from here to here. So I take my yarn and I run the needle through underneath. See, it's underneath that loop right there. Underneath that loop, pull it through. That's one side of the loop. And then, so you have one side of the loop. Then I go back down through both of these. See how this thread is coming up through, the thread comes up through here and here. It's kind of hard to see probably in the camera. I want to go back down through both of those. And it makes a copycat loop. Tighten it up a little bit so it's the same size as the rest. Then you have that nice seamless look by making that copycat look. And then you just are going to weave in your ends. And I just kind of go through a bit and then kind of change directions and go through a bit. Change direction some more, and that seems like enough to me. And then you need to, of course, weave in the other end as well. So you put it onto your needle. And this is where, if you wanted to kind of pull this part down, this point, if you wanted to pull the point down, you could always do that by kind of coming up into these stitches and then pulling them down again. However, you know, that makes you happy, however works well for you. I'm just going to kind of only pull a little bit down on that. And then I'm going to weave in a couple different directions. And then I'm going to clip and ta-da! Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again soon.